our Bitcoin IBIT is now over $100 billion.
I know.
So
not that long ago.
And 2 years ago, zero.
Yeah.
So
well, you weren't always a huge proponent of crypto, as we know.
I love it now, but I grow and learn.
I heard you say that on 60 Minutes.
I did.
Yeah.
Jim?
Larry Fink coming around to Bitcoin, of course. BlackRock CEO, Bitcoin is now over $100 billion. 2 years ago, it was just zero. And of course, we're talking about Bitcoin's IBIT ETF, which we were just talking about. Just this one Bitcoin ETF has over $100 billion of assets under management. The reporter in the interview says, "You weren't always a huge proponent of crypto, as we know." He said, "No, but I grow and learn." And that's why you guys are geniuses for being here. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you smash that thumbs up button. What you need to watch out for over the next couple of days, over $17 billion worth of Bitcoin shorts are on the verge of liquidation if Bitcoin rallies just 15% from its current levels. As we can see to the upside, these are shorts in the market right now, severely over leveraged shorts, where if price continues to go up, liquidates all of these. And as you know, the market makers love to eat up all the liquidity they can. Liquidity to the downside for longs doesn't look very heavy right now. Brian Armstrong from Coinbase says, "A common misconception is that crypto is too expensive for new people. You don't need to buy a full Bitcoin or a full Ethereum to get started. You can start by buying and holding crypto with just a few dollars. It's never too late." And speaking of dollars and Bitcoin and crypto, Jack comes out and says, Jack Dorsey, of course, says Bitcoin is money. And that's in response to Jamie Selects with his posting, "Channeled my inner J. Tud Hope today at the Folsom Farmers Market and sold every Square seller on Bitcoin payments." Now, if you're not aware, if you are a transaction receiver at, for example, a farmer's market, if you've ever gone to a farmer's market and you hand over your card, they got that little fob thing where they can take your payment. Well, Square now accepts Bitcoin payments directly, and Jack is very excited about that being the case. Also, he went on to say, just an hour later, Bitcoin is not crypto. Because remember, Jack's whole purpose for Bitcoin, in his personal opinion, is that Bitcoin is money. You weren't be able to transact with Bitcoin, not just hold on to it forever. He goes as far to say that if Bitcoin is not being used for transactions, there's no real use case for Bitcoin. With all the turmoil and the craziness and the unknown of what's going on in the markets, the market cycle image has been going around everywhere on the internet again. So the question is, where are we in your personal opinion? So let's hear it. Now, you may have seen this before. As far as the market cycle image here, you have accumulation, trend emergence, momentum building, first sentiment extreme. So people at this high think it's time to take profit. The bear trap happens. Renewed optimism. We're definitely not there yet. FOMO. We didn't ever have the FOMO. We didn't ever get to euphoria, in my personal opinion. Obviously, we had a nice run up in November, but nothing spectacular. But some people are saying that we are already through euphoria. We had a pullback, then we just had the lower high, and we're currently sitting in the breakdown mode. Fear and capitulations coming next, and then the bottom finish all the way into despair. So let me know in the comments, where do you think we are? As you heard in the intro, we talked about this gentleman who lost $3 million worth of his XRP, which he thought was in a cold wallet. Not sure if you guys have been following along on this. I've gone through this whole thread here from Zach XBT, but this thread is pretty quick. So let's go ahead and go through it. So you probably did see this because the gentleman who lost $3 million, his retirement was stolen out of his cold wallet, but actually was a hot wallet, and it went viral on YouTube. He was using the wallet called Elipal wallet. The gentleman who lost $3 million seems inexperienced and does not provide enough details to determine how the Elipal wallet became compromised, besides it being user error. The attacker who stole the money created 120 plus Ripple to Tron orders via Bridgers on October 12th, 2025. On Block Explorer, the transactions actually show as Binance, since Bridgers, formerly SWFT, uses them for liquidity. The funds consolidated on the Tron network at the following addresses. By October 15th, the funds were completely gone already, away through over-the-counter transactions adjacent to Huey One, which is an illicit online marketplace in SEA. Huey One has directly facilitated laundering billions in illicit funds over the past couple of years from pig butchering scams, investment scams, human trafficking, hacks, exploits, all based out of Southeast Asia. In fact, last week, the United States applied additional restrictions against Huey One in relation to a $15 billion Prince Group seizure and sanctions. He went on to say, I hope centralized exchanges and stablecoin issuers implement stricter controls as they're one of the bigger threats impacting longevity of our space. And what he means by that is when you hear this story of someone losing their whole entire life savings, their whole entire retirement, it really prevents people from wanting to ever even dip their toe or get started with crypto at all. Now, what happened here is the user did get confused of what a hot wallet versus a cold wallet is because LiPal offers both on their same platform. He goes on here to say one lesson our industry needs to do better is not causing confusion with products when you offer both custodial and non-custodial products. The XRP victim thought that they were using LiPal's cold wallet product when in fact it was using the hot wallet. And LiPal has responded to this saying, we've been in direct contact with the user and have been doing everything possible to assist. After investigating, we confirmed that the loss occurred because the cold wallet seed phrase was imported into the app, which turned into a hot wallet. LiPal's cold wallet remains 100% air-gapped and offline, and there's been no case of theft from an LiPal cold wallet. We take every report seriously and always respond with full transparency. So unfortunately, the gentleman did make a mistake doing this. And if you're not sure who Zach XBT is, by the way, he is literally the best internet sleuth when it comes to crypto, finding these types of scenarios out and tracking down wallets, where the money went. Obviously, he's not a federal agent or something like that, so he can't really retrieve the funds, but he can point the agents in the right direction. It says here, frequently, I see large Coinbase support impersonation thefts where victims transfer funds from their Coinbase exchange to a compromised Coinbase wallet after being socially engineered. And when we go back to Altcoin Pro, this is actually one of the topics that we do cover inside of our security purposes here. Phishing and social engineering scams, fake websites, impersonators, etc. You do have to be very careful in this day and age. And he goes on here, the XRP victim mentioned later in the video that he could not quickly get in touch with the United States law enforcement for the $3 million theft. In general, the Netherlands, Singapore, United States, France, etc. have been better jurisdictions for victims to work with the investigation, but ultimately it depends on who the assigned person is to that case. And he goes on to say that another lesson here is that 95% of recovery companies are predatory and charge large amounts for basic reports with few actionable insights. I found that firms who optimize for SEO tend to be predatory, meaning like if you Google search, I lost my crypto, how do I get it? Those are the ones that are going to pop up because they're optimized for SEO and they're not actually going to help you. They're just going to steal more of your money. Bad firms would have stopped tracing this XRP theft at the Binance scenario that we talked about earlier and have created the report saying, contact Binance. When in reality, the service was Bridgers, which is what we talked about earlier, or they would have just failed to identify addresses linked to Huey One in the first place. You cannot press a magic button for the funds to be returned. There's many external variables out of anyone's control, so you need to understand that retaining a form is just about improving your odds for potential of any recovery. And the sad news in this whole case, unfortunately, the likelihood of this victim seeing any funds recovered is rather low due to the delay in reporting and the theft to competent people within a private sector. He says, I recommend victims try to report theft addresses to people as soon as possible, as otherwise it can be difficult to detect that a theft even took place. Wrapping up, he says, I always try to reply to people who contact me about verified recent thefts, 250,000 or more, to at least instruct them to report and flag addresses. However, it becomes quite difficult when you receive 30 plus inbounds per day. So this is obviously like he's world famous for being able to help people, but this is crazy. 30 people a day contact him stating that their crypto wallets have been compromised.